What is up, my fellow warbirds, aka the War Eagles, back with another video. This time we're going to be taking a look at Kerbal Space Program, or more specifically, Kerbal Space Program 2. Now, of course, the game isn't out yet, but I figured I've seen a couple of forums and videos talking about what they want from Kerbal Space Program 2. So I figured I would put in my 2 cents. So, enjoy some background video of the cinematic trailer as well as pre-alpha gameplay while I just go into my top 10 things that I want to see in Kerbal Space Program 2. Alright, so without further ado, let's kick it off. Number 1. Parity of Development. What do I mean by this? Well, one thing that Squad failed to do with Kerbal Space Program 1 was have the same level of development for console players as they did PC. I have played the game both on PC and PS4, and I can absolutely tell you that they treated console players like second-class citizens. PS4 is currently a year behind in development on Kerbal Space Program compared to the PC. It's at the point where we just now pretty much got the Making History DLC, a DLC that had already been out for a full year on the PC, and by the time we get the second DLC, Breaking Ground, KSP2 is already pretty much going to be out for the PC, so at that point, there's no point in getting it. My biggest hope is that with Kerbal Space Program 2, the level of development will be equal for both console players and PC. Meaning, if PC updates to Kerbal Space Program 2 1.05, PS4 and Xbox also need to be at 1.05. Additionally, other things need to be done for console players, such as adding mouse and keyboard. The problem I see, though, with the development of Parity is we already know that Kerbal Space Program 2 is going to be out for PC in spring of 2020, with console players getting it soon after. I just hope and pray that, they don't leave us in the dust like they did with Kerbal Space Program 1. Granted, it's a different developer, but still. Alright, number 2. Increased customization options. Now, with Kerbal Space Program, it's always been kind of your imagination is the limit. That and physics and part count. We already know with Kerbal Space Program 2, physics is going to be better, part count is going to be drastically increased, and we also know that we'll be able to customize things such as being able to paint our spaceships. That was confirmed in an interview. But my hope is that when painting spaceships, we don't just get, a select number of colors to pick from. No, I want the full visible spectrum. As for our Kerbals also, let us customize those too. We also know that we're going to be able to customize the spacesuits, but let's not just have just the spacesuits. Dadgummit, if I want to give my Kerbal blonde hair, let me give it blonde hair. I also hope that we'll be able to name the Kerbals and things like that. Granted, we could do that in the cheat menu of Kerbal Space Program 1, but again, that was a cheat menu. I want it to be straight up stock without having to resort to the cheat menu. Speaking of Kerbals, number 3. More visual niceties. What do I mean by this? Well, I mean things such as I want to see Kerbals have more emotes and things like that. Just, little things that kind of pop out at you. Like, for example, if they plant a flag, I want them to salute and things like that. I want them to scream. I want them to cry. That sounded very morbid. But other things such as like possibly more first person options. Let us go first person while we're walking on the moon. Alright, so number 4. Weather, seasons, and solar events. Speaking of visual niceties, I don't mean just the Kerbals. I also mean things of like nature and whatnot. I want to see things such as procedural, rain, lightning, things like that. Seasons would also be nice. For example, when it's wintertime, let it snow. And going back to weather, I don't mean just on Kerbin. Let's have dust storms on Duna. That would be awesome and provide an additional challenge for landing. And for solar events, let us have things such as solar flares that we have to take into account, which could potentially harm the Kerbals, which would add just another layer of detail. Now, for this, I think that they need to actually make that optional for the players. It's not forced, but I think it would make something nice for those who want to play very hardcore. Speaking of care for Kerbals, that's number 5. This is another thing that I think should be optional, but I would like to see an option to where we have to take into account things such as food, water, oxygen. There were mods like that for Kerbal Space Program 1, but I'd like to see that as a stock option. Make it so that we actually have to try to care for our Kerbals and plan things out. Again, this is something that should be optional to the players, but for those that want to play on like a super hardcore mode, that should be an option for them. Alright, so number 6. Increase in data and info. One thing that always kind of annoyed me was the fact that you can always had to like flip-flop back and forth between the map menu and the regular heads-up display. Additional little data to where I don't have to go to the map to see if I have made orbit, that would go a long way. I'm not saying make it easier, but at least give us more information for us without having to flip-flop between menus. Alright, number 7. And this one entirely depends on the first one. Cross-platform multiplayer. I absolutely want to be able to play with my friends on PC. I seriously doubt this one will come, so if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be completely disappointed. But I absolutely want this to happen. A lot of my YouTube friends, they play on PC. I'm more of a PS4 guy. But I would love to be able to play with them. So if we can make that happen, that would be straight up awesome. Number 8. More places to visit. I already know that we are going to be having interstellar missions. We're going to be able to go to another star and visit places and visit other planets. But what I mean by more places to visit is don't let it just be, oh, here you guys go, here's your planets, this is all you guys get. I'm thinking, maybe once every quarter, or even like once a year, we get another planet, another star system. That would increase the longevity of the game. Alright, so speaking of alien planets, number 9. Alien life forms. No, I do not mean other tan-colored aliens walking around. And I say tan because we already have little green men, so next would be humans. Okay, going off on a tangent. What I mean by this is, let's see some lower life forms on other planets that have the capability of having life. For example, if I go to Lathe, I'd like to be able to see some fish or some plants. That would go a long way in the science department. That would increase that would also increase the longevity of the game. Having to look at, oh, this is a fish. this gets you X amount of science points. And last but not least, longevity in general. By this I mean, I don't want Kerbal Space Program to become another Call of Duty or Battlefield where it's just added every year. Kerbal Space Program 1 was introduced back in, what was it? 2011, 2012, I believe it was. And the game is still going relatively strong. Almost a decade later. I want that kind of longevity for Kerbal Space Program 2. Of course, that's going to entirely depend on how successful the game is. Let me say that again. How successful the game is. But I think it could be done. Don't make this just, a one-off and then, next year or two throw out Kerbal Space Program 3. No. I want the developers to absolutely focus on getting this game right and keeping it going. Let us be able to continue to play this game well into, you know what, I'll shoot for 2030. This would be a staple for a great game. Make it happen. So, yeah, that's my top 10 things that I want for Kerbal Space Program 2. If you guys like what you saw, leave a like on the video. In the comments below, let me know what you guys want for Kerbal Space Program 2. I'm curious as to if you guys have anything different to add. And, of course, don't forget to share the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord. The link to that will be in the description below. And, of course, remember that if we can reach 400 subs by the end of the year, I will be doing a gift card giveaway. And as always, I hope you enjoyed.